Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack, and
Calvin Ellis ready to rock.
we also have
Yo, Mars here, baby.
I'm running the show right now, just being the host today. And today we have to talk about Acolyte. It's still going, there's 4 episodes in, there's a lot of things going on.
Did you say
Mark,
acolyte or did you say acolyte?
however you want, tell me how you want to say it.
I think the proper pronunciation is acolyte.
Acolyte. Okay. So since you're giving the pronunciation things, what is give us a quick overview of the series before we get into our review of it.
Okay,
Oh,
so
that's easy.
this
It's
basically
it's
comes
it's,
back.
it's real easy. It's trash.
No,
No,
that's not a review of the show. So I knew
It's
you were
trash.
going to go
We'll
there.
see.
No, stop,
We'll
stop.
see. We'll see everybody later. Thanks for
Let
coming out,
Mars
guys.
go. Let Mars go.
so
Okay.
basically, this takes place in the High Republic era. This is basically about 100 years or two before what happens at the Revenge of the Sith, when we start seeing the whole Anakin story with the prequel stories that we see come out. And in this instance here, we are going back and understanding that there are different Jedi, or let me see, Force users there. And in this particular case, we have a specific group of. Let's get straight to the issue. There's a specific group of Force witches that are
All right.
using.
All right. No, you blew it already. You blew everything
What,
over.
what,
All
what are
right.
you gonna do? I was just trying to get
No.
to the topic everybody wants to talk to.
We're
Let's
not talking about the topic. We haven't talked about the show at all outside of watching the trailer. Good lord.
Yeah, just pass it here. Pass it here.
No,
I'll
we're
talk
not
about it
passing
later.
this so you can just
Yeah,
trash
yeah,
it.
yeah. You know,
Oh,
look, here's the thing.
who said I was gonna
The
trash
show,
it? Who said I was gonna trash
we
it?
know you
You
No,
are.
just
wait. No,
did.
wait.
You
No,
are trash about everybody
no.
You
first.
You
just
took it. You took it from me. You gave it to him. He had his shot. I get it back. Now I'm
no,
gonna go
no,
over here and tell
no.
the
I'm
people what the
just
show is
giving.
all about.
Stop,
Now,
stop,
here's
stop, 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 stop,
no.
stop.
I'm gonna be straight. I'm gonna play it straight.
No,
I won't
no,
trash it. Promise you. Promise you. Okay, won't trash it. So as Mars said before he decided to send off into his own little world, this
Oh my
is pretty
gosh.
much this is pretty much the High Republic period of Star Wars universe, which is approximately about 100 to 200 years before the events that we would see take place with the the Phantom Menace. And mind you, this is like a golden age, if you will, of the galaxy. They have there's really nothing going on that should trouble anyone. But this is supposed to be an origin story for the Sith. So we're supposed to be coming into this storyline, and this is where we pretty much get the birth of evil, if you will, into the galaxy. So the acolyte is supposed to is supposed to give us these particular origins. So part of these origins dealt with two characters, twins, one who is with the Jedi and one who's an assassin. And through watching the evolution, machinations, or for lack of a better word, which I've already used, origins of these two characters, we're supposed to be brought into how the Sith finally come into being, and then ultimately corrupt the Jedi Order.
Okay, and then in our first episode, you want to
See, I get no credit. I play it straight. I get no credit.
you
No
trashed it
credit.
early on. You don't get credit after you trash the thing early in the
No,
thing.
no,
I
I
want.
give you credit. I think you gave a basic understanding of the whole thing, and I give you credit for that. I can give you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I don't
and
give him credit for trashing it in the beginning while we get
that's okay. But
started.
now, people can change. So look, what I'm saying here, I agree with what he said. In this High Republic period, the Jedi are at the top of their game.
Please, you're repeating the same thing he said. We're not doing that. We're not
Let me
doing
finish what
the
I'm going to say.
reiterate the same thing.
This is,
Someone is a little snitty today.
I'm telling you,
He's
you know,
gonna repeat the same thing. Okay, repeat what Cal said.
I'm
Oh,
not going to repeat what Cal said. You know, the
you're
whole
gonna play
thing, the whole.
Captain. You're gonna be Captain Causality now. Hey, I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna do, so you don't do it. This
He
little
just
talk.
did. He just did it.
I just started
Just
off the part. Yes, I'm rephrasing that. But what I'm trying to say, the
Then
Jedi
he
are at their height.
reiterated.
Can I finish what I'm going to say, or we're going to continue?
Finish.
So the Jedi are at their height. The third time I'm saying it is that this is Disney's desire. They wanted to create their own little area that they can start doing whatever they wanted to do with the Star Wars universe. And so they created the whole High Republic. The Old Republic, everybody knows it from the old game, from the games, the video games. That's already set. Plus, there's a ton of books and lore that people are very familiar with that goes back to the Old Republic. So they decided, hey, the one area that hasn't been dealt with is the area right before the kickoff of the whole Anakin story. So this is where we get the whole High Republic. Some
Wait
people
a second.
have.
Before you keep going, just say who specifically are the people who are decided to carve out this corner in this? Is it Filoni or is it someone else in the group?
No, I don't think
Kathleen
it was.
Kathleen
No,
Kennedy,
no. I mean, well, look, they're the ones who definitely executed. But the plan was
Dave Filoni.
those are the ones who are executing. But the people who basically started the whole situation is Disney. Disney is like when they took it over, they wanted an area that they could play with all their own sandbox. And this is basically the cause of it. You see the comics they're selling. They started the whole High Republic. It's for another. If you ask me, I think it's for another generation. I don't think it's basically for the people who like the whole Skywalker family history and all that stuff that comes on after it. Which a lot of us we love that stuff. Particularly even the variations of that, like the Mandalorian. But this was supposed to be different, and I think a lot of reasons a lot of people don't like in general the High Republic era is that it goes against what they understood of the whole Star Wars genre.
And it's trash.
I mean, it's a corner that we don't understand. But I don't know. Disney's doubled down on it. They're coming out with books. They're coming out with it's introducing in the TV show now. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to be pushing a movie, but this is exactly what they're doubling down on. I know that when we were at the New York City NYCC con, they had a whole panel on this, and they were like, "Yo, we're coming out with a whole series of books and stuff like that." I mean, I've read a couple dealing with the comics, at least. Dealing with some of the characters there. The Starlight was a particular station that went down, and that the Jedi used to use to monitor areas. But look, the point of the matter is, I don't think necessarily the classic Star Wars people are necessarily going to like this show. And because of that, I think this is why we have some of the negative comments that we've had yet. So now we can go in. Did I do
Okay,
it?
cool. No, I think thank you, Cal, for the overview of what the series is, and thank you, Mars, for then you're coming after that and figuring it out. We had a rough start. So in this, and let's go from episode to episode. Episode 1, Cal, what were your
Trash.
thoughts? Good Lord, this is. Can you just give the framework of the episode first, and then your problems with it?
No, I can't. Mars, can you take this?
Yeah. So look. So I'm going to give you. I'm not going to go into. But
Good
the situation
Lord.
is that right at the beginning of the story, a young lady comes out and fights Carrie-Anne Moss from the Matrix, right? And who's we all know a great martial artist. Carrie-Anne Moss in this story is a Jedi master of all things, and yet this young girl is able to best her using just knives, and I think that threw a lot of people off. Then
wait a second. I'm sorry to cut you off. I would only say that she comes out on top. It's not. She does have signs of being able to bring out some tricks and something like that. But at the same time, it's like a trick that she does to do it. It's not a good trick, but it's ultimately best.
Wait.
No, absolutely not. Darth Maul got cut in half by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, he was cut in half with the lightsaber by Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he survived. Okay, he survived. Carrie-Anne Moss's character gets killed with a knife. There's a clear discrepancy here in terms of the approach. So she can have a special little trick, but a Jedi Knight, okay, an established Jedi Knight, that from what we've seen, that should not be enough to take them out.
Well, that's not what I'm just saying that he said bested. Bested is kind of a stretch of what she did. She really didn't match up.
I agree with you. I agree with you if it's bested.
Thing.
I agree with you if it's bested. She was killed. She was not bested.
She was killed, but I'm saying
was killed.
We were set up.
Yeah.
She beat her, okay? And she ended up dying. Now, I think what a lot of people didn't like is the fact that, hey, this established character we just said passed away. So we're basically starting. The way this story is set up is starting at the very end of a mystery, right? A mystery occurs and we're like, what happened? And now we're starting at the beginning of the mystery and we're looking back to what caused this mystery. So that's what we see in the next couple episodes where we go back into the past, why this happened, how this happened. So when the Carrie-Anne Moss character is killed, they're trying to figure out what's going on, who's killing. When someone kills a Jedi Master, people start looking into this type of stuff. They start investigating, and then they realize, hey, this person looks exactly like this other girl, you know. So you have two girls in the story, and not two. The first time we don't realize that they're twins. We realize that it's just one character, and we don't know that there's another character in the show until afterwards. And we find out it's basically the twin that's doing the killing, and not the character who actually went to the Jedi temple and was trained in the Jedi but washed out, you know. So that's the basis of it, dude.
So your thoughts on the episode? Just
Come on,
one.
Mars.
This episode 1.
Come on, Mars.
Intriguing episode. That's what I want to say.
Oh, Cap. Sir Cap's a lot over here.
Okay. I mean, look, unlike you two, I do remember that we do have resumes in with Disney and Marvel. So I just cannot just say things that are just going to destroy it.
It's a group resume. So one person can actually speak the truth and the other 3 still get in. So
I think for me, I'm going to chime in for this part of the episode. For me, I was okay. The fight was okay. I didn't like how, the ending, the killing. The ultimate weakness of this is it's like Star Wars Double Impact, like a bad Van Damme thing, where the actress is not pulling. She's not adding, as good as she is, she's not adding anything to the other character. At least Van Damme did a cheesy version of himself. This is I can't give it the maximum risk. I can only give it the double impact, but at least Van Damme gave himself another character that was hitting that. What's up?
So you're saying we need Dennis Rodman in the film? That's what you're saying, right?
I'm just saying that you have to have you have to, if you're going to play the same character, and you have to get to a point where we stop thinking this is the same character, right? So that's the weakness of I think episode 3. We're not up to it, but they had 2 different actresses playing it. They did have some good parts with the 2 actresses, but they were so different. It was just like, now we just have the same actress, the same hair. It's like we're not wasting any time, just a different outfit and what's that they're wearing. So I think the weakness is, and the actress in both parts is fine, but there's not big enough differences between the 2. And I don't want to have to look at Van Damme, which I don't like, Double Impact, and say that's better than the other things. So that's my thoughts on the episode 1. Episode 2,
Double Impact. Huh? Double Impact was more entertaining than this first episode. Double Impact was more entertaining than this whole thing, because I'm not supposed to take Double Impact seriously. It's a Van Damme movie at the end of the day. This is like this full of popcorn and I'm out. I'm not supposed to, this is Double Impact was at least some fun. I don't know. So we get to the second episode. I mean, one, I do want to connect to some of the stuff that Mark said. Disney did want, it wasn't so much that Disney wanted to carve out their own space in the Star Wars universe. Disney wants to replace all that other stuff. They want to make all that other stuff in the past, in the rear view, put everything beside, and then only the stuff that they create going forward is Star Wars. That's what they've been trying to do. And they haven't been subtle about it, and they haven't been very successful with it either. One, because it was a bit schizophrenic, if they were still trying to tap some of the older, Star Wars mythos and make, of course, everybody wants to use Darth Vader. We're going to see Luke Skywalker come back in. We see some of the old, all-time greats when it comes to Star Wars. But quickly, these guys were either decimated or killed off in terms of character. So that was one thing. That was one thing that we had. But then, 2, the audience that they're making this for doesn't exist. I'm not saying they may not exist. They may exist 5 years in the future if they keep at it. That there are people who genuinely like this, and then 5-10 years from now, this is what Star Wars is. Everybody remembers the Acolyte and the prequels as the real stuff, and then everything else was just that was just trash. Look at the sci-fi, rather the special effects. It was horrible. But that's where they are right now in terms of their stories, where they are creating stuff for an audience that doesn't exist. So with that being said, we get into episode 2, and it's supposed to be more of this whodunit, even though we know whodunit. And there's a big bad that we're supposed to be, being given clues to as to who the overall villain may be. But then, of course, we're going to have the bait and switch going on. But there's really the main focus is supposed to be our story between the two sisters, and so between May and who's the other one, Osha. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be the two sisters at the end of the day. And of course, they didn't, they had, they thought they thought the other one was dead. Now they realize they're alive. One of them has this, mission to kill. The other one's like, no, I'm going to try to stop. We got this Wookiee, but I'm looking at the whole episode, and it lacks any type of gravitas for an origin story of how the Sith coming to being, especially with these two characters. At the end of the day, I mean, just to go back to the first episode, Carrie-Anne Moss's character was featured heavily in the trailers and the promotion, for the series. So of course, Carrie-Anne Moss, remember her from The Matrix. We see her, as a Jedi. She's doing a bunch of stuff, and the whole idea of bigging up her character in that manner was that when she's killed, it's supposed to be, oh wow, well, look at Osha. She must be really powerful. She took out the most powerful Jedi in the room, but it looks cheap. And so now, of course, we're going further with this character. We're not seeing anything about her that justifies any of the stuff that we saw in the first episode in terms of taking out this powerful a Jedi. But that's pretty much where we are second episode. I didn't think the second episode was horrible. It wasn't good, but not horrible.
Morris, any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one is this thing is a little overblown about how good or bad this whole series is.
Episode two. What did you?
Episode 2. Yeah, just keep it to episode 2 before you get on your apologetics train.
It's not an apologetic thing, This is when they discover that May is still alive, right? And I think to me, looking at this episode, it was confusing in the very first episode that they would start off by killing one of the major characters, like he said, and I correct Cal with, you have a major character. She's introduced to this franchise, someone who's well renowned, well received from the Matrix franchise, and they bring her in here, and everybody's like, wow, she's going to be a major, and then boom, she's killed off right away. So now we have this whole mystery going on. And I think that's why she was brought in. The mystery's happening. So now you see another Jedi ends up dying, Jedi Master Torben. But the key thing is why. He could have stayed alive in his force field, but he gives up and allows May to kill him. So the question is, why is that happening? So there's a little bit more going on here than meets the eye. The very fact that the first Jedi, which you knew could easily have beaten May, the first right around, and the second Master Torben should have been able to beat, or not easily beat, but could have prevented May from going after it. He gave up. What's going on? So I think there's a bigger mystery that we need to try to unravel. There's this, and people are just jumping to conclusions. Oh, boom, such and such was killed, sucks. Oh, boom. I kind of like the acting being done by the main actress who's playing both Osha and May. I think she's doing overall interesting.
I said just separate characters. That's the thing that
she's doing fine, but I think
you feel that they're separate characters.
They don't seem strapped. They could be more separate.
That's the only thing. I don't have a problem with her performance. The character, they just seem the same. Nothing about her being terrible, bad actress.
It's like,
well, how good of an actress is she playing the same character twice?
If we look at the performance we have, they're both okay performances. But if you go there, Cal, it's bad if there's not strong enough differences.
Well, a great option that you ever saw a show called Orphan Black, right? And that's where one young lady.
All those characters, even though they had wacky ones, but some of them were
totally different, right? In Orphan Black, so it was a good job, and I think they could have done more here. But that could also be part of the mystery. The question is she really one? Is it really
of bad acting?
No, come on. No, you are okay. You are okay up until now, man. You don't gotta go do. You don't have to do this. There's no mystery for bad acting. What I'm trying to say is
maybe
that
she's acting like it's the same person to make us believe that somehow when they're both in the room together looking at each other that it's really the same person somehow. Come on.
They can do whatever. Force projection, I don't know. My thing is, I'm still skeptical of whether or not she's a real person at the moment. So I'm still waiting.
No, you're not. You're not skeptical. You know what the deal is. You're not skeptical.
And it's surprising that everybody finds that she is alive. And what's also interesting is that, again, I just repeat, the Jedi Master, Carrie-Anne Moss, when she dies, we know that Soul, who was Osha's master, trainer, We also have Master Torben, who gets killed in this episode, and the Wookiee himself. Those four went to her world and recruited her. And so,
Okay, we didn't. That's episode 3. We're moving forward. We're trying to stick with the episode. So
Yeah. Episode 3.
we're
Yeah.
not at episode 3 yet. But the thing is that we had the
Let's do it.
confrontation with the other people, with the two twins. That she's with the Jedi. The Jedi was iffy on Osha, but then next thing you know, when they know that the other one is out there, and she shows some other tricks. So the what's the name? Who's the guy? Who's the other Jedi that's with them?
Soul?
Soul is saying, "Who trained you? Who is your master?" So there's a mystery, but at the same time, there's a framework in this episode. Is like she's going out to like an old western, like something these old marshals did, that they went and they killed possibly the wrong person, and is hinting that now this person wants revenge, coming back and going after another Jedi, trying to kill another Jedi, this sort of thing that's going on. It's like an old, and obviously there's a lot of Western stuff. Obviously you can see the Mandalorian, that sort of stuff. So it's kind of using that framework of revenge, this character who's out for revenge for something in the past that we don't know about yet. So then I turn over to Mars, since you were starting up. Give us an overview of episode 3.
Yeah. Let's see what you got to say now, Mars.
Okay, so episode 3, we're going back into history, right? We're trying to understand what happened, where Osha and May came, right? Because we find out they're sisters, they're twins. So we find out that they are all part of a force wielding sect.
It's called a coven.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good word.
I didn't want to label them as anything like that. I'm not saying.
It's a shorthand, so we can move forward. It's a great.
They call themselves witches. A group of witches is known as a coven. Okay. Let's continue.
So this group of women, force users, they have their leader. You stop it, bro.
I will not say those words. Well, does not compute. Keep going, son.
So the head of this group of women is Jodie Turner Smith. By the way, this is a quick plug. PD made an excellent video for Martha Washington, saying that she should be the actress to play it. So coming back to this episode here, you have so we go back into Japan to see what happened. Why we have this? Why did they think that May was already dead? And so we go into the past. We see the Jedi land on the planet, the 4 Jedi that I talked about before, and they come to investigate because they heard that they're Force users here on this planet. When they come, they discover May. And May at the same time, and Osha seems to have a much more developed sense of the Force as opposed to May. And May seems pretty ambivalent in joining the women of the Force-wielding women in becoming a member of their group. Whereas Osha is like, no, man, we're sisters. We got to do it. And so when May decides that she really wants to go with the Jedi, she prefers this particular path. What we see in the episode is that Osha burns the place down, basically, but somehow all the women in the coven have been killed. So we're trying to figure out who killed all the women. It couldn't be if she set it on fire that she killed everybody. So we don't know what happened. So May and Osha are separated, and they go their own different ways there. So look.
And your thoughts on the episode?
So the most controversial part of this episode deals with the fact that, in essence, these two were born through the use of the Force. There's only one other character who's been used.
Hold on. You got to stop putting in those caveats and disclaimers. Just say what happened on the show. It's not supposedly. That's what we're told on the show. It's not your job to come over here and try to split the need as split the baby for people. On the show, we are told, okay, that those twins were conceived by the Force. There's no maybe, probably. That's what happened. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I don't think there's a sorry bone in your body, bro. So,
definitely not.
What I'm saying is that we understand that about the two, right? That they were created by the Force. The question is, there's another character in the Star Wars canon who also was created using the Force. And according to Lucas and them, that he did not have any father. He was born with the use of the Force. And that, of course, is the chosen one himself, Anakin Skywalker. So a lot of people all of a sudden got up on there.
Did you like it or not? What
I'm
words?
trying to address the issue, bruh. I'm trying to
No, he
address
didn't.
the issue, bruh.
No, he didn't like it. No, he didn't like it. This guy, come on. Mario's a really big Star Wars fan. He's seen the films. He's read the books. He's more familiar with the expanded universe than a lot of people would ever realize. There's no way he liked this. That's why he's trying to couch it so much. Come on, Mars. Just tell him he doesn't like it.
It was challenging. It was challenging in a lot of ways. You know, I've had to, and I was telling Cal, I've had to go through a whole bunch of different loops to try to explain the issues that are happening here, right? So the first thing I told him was, okay, this immaculate conception could happen because, you know, there are these beings called the Mortis gods, right? Who are basically godlike force wielders. And you have the Father and Son.
Are you really going to take us down this rabbit hole? Are you really?
Hold on.
Come on, man.
I'm trying to back you up here.
You don't need to back me up. I didn't get my go yet. Trust me, I'm gonna knock this one out of the park with my eyes closed.
I forgot that he still has to go. You've been going around in circles. You've been, what they say on Cam and Mace, man, you've been tap dancing. You've been spinning, man. Like, you can't spin. You can put us in the spin cycle. Like, what's going on? Did you like it or not?
Yeah.
You said it was challenging? Why was it challenging?
Because it's trash. That's why.
Because it's challenging a lot of the assumptions that we had. This coven of force wielders, they decided to bring in brand new. I mean, and this challenges also us the whole issue of, you know, are these guys even reading the Star Trek or the Star Wars lore? It's like they just
okay. That's it. That's the point, that it doesn't go along with anything that's been going on in the Star Wars.
Exactly. Well, I mean, but then again, this is Dave Filoni, according to the showrunner, they spoke to him about this stuff, and he's supposed to be the new George Lucas, like the guy who's holding it. So the question is, what is he trying to do? So I told this to Cal. I said, there's this group called the Mortis gods, where you have a father, the son, and a daughter, and then the son and daughter are always fighting each other. And the question is whether or not they themselves can come into our reality and help to induce a birth like that. You know, is this more of a greater plan? And we don't know.
All right.
Hold on, Cal. Hold on. Let me just finish. And my point is that I was telling Cal that, hey, probably they did this, but now I'm thinking, you know what? Probably you're right. Probably Cal is right. Probably is just, let's call it what it is, BS. You know what I'm trying to say? Because if there's a plan, I can't see the greater plan.
Okay.
Cal, I'm on your side there.
All right, Cal.
I was about to ask him. I was like, do you honestly think that they watched all of the episodes of the Clone Wars, got that episode, said, hey, we can actually make a good idea come through from this? They probably never watched any of that type of stuff. Bottom line, look, one of the reasons I never thought too much into it after the Phantom Menace. It was said. I didn't think it was that smart of an idea. It sounded kind of dumb to me. But when they asked, hey, who was Anakin's father? You're like, well, there is no father. I was like, huh? I was like, all right, so we're dealing with space Jesus here. Anyway, but the thing is, it never came up again. It never came up again. In the Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith, never came up again. Might have come up again in the Clone Wars animated series, but other than that, it never came up again. So I just chalked that up to, okay, somebody realized that was not a good line, not a good idea, and they just left it where it was. And if you want to think about it, fine. If you don't, no problem. These guys decided to pick it up and run with it. But the idea that Anakin was the chosen one was based on the fact of this immaculate conception through the Force. That this was a sign that it was he who was the chosen one, who would bring balance to the Force. Well, why would it be him over someone else? Well, he's conceived through nothing else but the Force and his mother. Now we're being told, oh, no, wait a minute. You can do this if you want to. All you got to do is pull on the thread, Force, the way that you like, and you can produce children. That totally undercuts the entire storyline of Anakin Skywalker, because the first 6 episodes is pretty much the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker, or the Skywalker family, if you will. All of that is like, wait a minute. So when these guys came over and said, oh, he's the chosen one, somebody should have immediately said, well, why is he the chosen one? Anybody who's strong enough with the Force can create a child. What makes him special? And they would have known about these 2 kids previously where it happened. Now, of course, we could get to the last episodes and they're like, oh, well, they covered the whole thing up, so nobody ever heard about it. That's fine. But we, the viewers, still know. Okay? You didn't cover it up for us, So we, the viewers, still know, and it totally undercut Anakin's story. That's the big. That was the, I think, the really contentious part of it. And it, again, it leads to what I said earlier about they want to create not a section of the Star Wars universe where Disney can play in freely. They want to overwrite, the Star Wars universe in Disney's new image for an audience that does not exist. However, all that being said, this episode was just over the top. I mean, when they had the flat out witch chanting with the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. I'm like, what the heck is this? What's going on here? It was just some wild stuff. I was like, I mean, literally, it's like, I guess they wanted authenticity, and they got like a Wicca on the set to make certain that the chanting and everything was done correctly. It was just over the top nonsense. Then supposedly we have this thing where, oh, wait a minute, there's a murder mystery going on. Do we really care at this point? You've undercut so much Star Wars lore in order to tell this story within 3 episodes. Within 3 episodes, you've done that much damage. Do we really care? If this is a whodunit, do we care who did it?
Well, it's leading us to our evil person. Is it a Jedi or is it May? And May, of course, has all this conviction. Not to answer your question, because I know it was rhetorical, but
it's Kathleen Kennedy.
All right, so I guess I'm going to chime in here at this point about this. Ultimately, since the myth part of Star Wars and Anakin, since it's forever changing, and I never got my scene that we were supposed to get after Star Wars. But we got the real fight between Obi-Wan and Vader, not Anakin. Anakin was just supposed to be killed by Vader, and that was it. So the hard part of it is that there's always been changing in this thing. But I'm watching this episode 3, and I'm saying, I'm gonna give you guys sci-fi. You're gonna do some sci-fi concepts. Have some wacky stuff in here. All right, go on. Let's see how this goes. And then they show Osha. She has some sort of Jedi calling, but she either been kicked out or she left. And she's stuck in the prison in the Jedi ship, which she got shipped off in. She can't use the Force, but she can use the Force when she was a little kid. Why is the Force out? So it's like, as you go along, the concept of what they're trying to do, they have changed this thing. I'm not that stuck in it. I know they've made changes over time, but as you do the episode, there's some big steps that say if she has power here, she should at least have power to call that little gizmo back to her hand. Nope, she can't do it anymore for some reason. It's like if you doubt the Force one time, you lose all of it. But she had the calling instantly, not like May did, but she could see things, and where they showed you that she could see things. So she had some sort of thing, and she'd been there before she left for who knows how long. So that was the first thing. Then when we get to the fire, then it's like, oh, you're just trying to hide everything from us, and not in a good way. And you have all this storyline. So then now you look at Master Soul, and they ask him about, didn't you pick up the twins? No. At that point, we thought Osha was the only one that was alive, and he gets a side eye to let us know that he knows something that that terrible that happened, that the Jedi.
Yeah, to let us know he's a lying Jedi. That's the other thing.
But
they're setting this up. I mean, as of right now.
Wait a minute, let me finish. I was just saying. Let me finish my point. Just to say that you can do your concepts. I can give you enough rope with your stuff. But then when you execute, you got to execute well, and I don't think they did it in this episode. I did not ever know everyone going to the lesbian stuff. I didn't see any kissing, so I'm like saying, as long as I didn't see that stuff, it still stays in the sci-fi thing. But they failed in what they were trying to do. But I was still watching the show. I didn't give up on the show yet. So back to you,
I watched the whole series, so don't even say.
They didn't what? The lesbians didn't kiss because they were too busy knocking each other up with the Force.
Where did you see that? We did not see that one time.
Are you kidding me? We see the production of that.
Somebody carried those kids.
What are you talking about? I carried them. I created them. What are you talking about?
Look. You see, the reason I have a problem with
Uh-oh.
we have historically seen review bombing of shows when you have female protagonists.
We don't do
Over
that.
and
We
again.
don't
I mean,
review. We
they're
don't
saying,
review
hold
bomb.
on,
So that has no
us,
bearing with us. We don't review bomb.
but I'm just saying that you have this whole jumping on the bandwagon. And I mean, look, the young girl, what's her name? Amanda Sternberg or something. She's saying she's been receiving so much racist hate mail.
What does that have to do with us?
Hold on. I'm just
What
saying.
does that have to do with us? We don't do that type of stuff.
I say we're not specifically doing it, but I'm saying there's a whole audience.
Hold on. What do you mean we're not?
Am I ever going to finish saying what I'm going to say? Or are you going to interrupt me every single time? Are we having a discourse? Are we having a discourse?
You just said we are not specifically doing this. Are you saying in any way, shape, or form that we're doing this? Can you be clear for the audience that we are not doing this type of stuff?
If you jump on every single word I say, how can I talk?
Okay.
How can I possibly say?
All right. Okay, fair enough.
Okay. So I mean, she's saying that people are attacking her and using. Look, I have no problems with people dissing people because they don't like the acting or the way things should be. They think, but when they start using racist terms and denigrating people based on their physical characteristics or whatever characteristics, I don't think that's cool at all. So I want to make sure we put that out there 100%.
Yeah, that's great.
We don't do that. This show has got the lowest Rotten Tomato score ever. But yet Rotten Tomato also came out and said that this score, they found tons of AI generated reviews, and they had like 10,000 new people or who signed up just to review it. So that tells you something in and of itself. I can't imagine the show. Look, there's problems with the show, but to the point where it's only 14% of the people. I think again, this is where the narrative is coming, where people are just destroying, totally trashing everything about it. There are elements that look, I clearly have issues with it, and I don't have a problem. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but at the same time, I'm willing to look at it and try and see what type of different universe and stuff they want to try. At the very end of the day, I'll give it a review and say, hey, I didn't like this, and this is why I didn't like it. But I'm not going to go down that this is the worst thing possible, and I'm definitely not going to. And we're not doing this, but we're not going to allow people. And we definitely want to make sure that everybody understands, based on people using racist terms and stuff against them. Because I remember the young lady in what was it, not the prequel, in the sequel, the young Asian girl who got totally bombed, and so she had to get on social media and everything.
Rose Tico? Tico's the actress who played Rose Tico?
Yeah, the actress who played Rose Tico, and she said the amount of emotional
because they set her up. Come on. They set her up. What is it? Look, okay, one, I don't even know why we're discussing this. We don't do this sort of stuff. So us coming over here and white knighting for this chick who's a bad actress doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Okay? We don't review bomb. We're not making fun of her physical appearance. We're not making fun of her gender or any of that type of stuff. That's what other people, okay? You already spoke to it, that we don't agree with it, fine. But we don't do that. Okay? We're just going to go at what was given to us in terms of the show. That's where everything's about. So if we're taking a shot at something that is an easy target because you produced a bad show. That's where we're at.
Okay.
And all the other stuff has nothing to do with us.
So with that said, I appreciate you bringing that stuff up, but it's not in relation to what we're talking about right now. I don't like Rotten Tomatoes. I don't like anyone being attacked, but we could do a whole episode on that itself. But we've put it into this episode. Is there any other points you want to make on that about her being attacked? Mars.
I said I said that he said he's not a good actress. I don't necessarily think that's the case. She's been in Hunger Games. She's been in Sleepy Hollow. She's been in The Hate You Give. She's been in a lot of stuff. So all of a sudden you're trying to say, she's not a good actress. She's gotten work in this because she's done some work.
I had to face the fact that I was saying that she's playing two characters, that we had two kids that shows one who has a one angle and one who has another. Now we have one who's an assassin, another one who's kind of didn't meet her potential, but she's trying to make a go of it. She didn't find a way to make those two characters stand out as two different characters. That is the basic thing of acting. I said that she was a good performer, but I had to contradict myself because I wasn't saying she was a bad actress. But if you don't make the characters separate, that means she's not doing the best job. I
But is
can't.
she the one, or is it the director who has to get that out of her?
The director's always the person who's the bad guy, but at the same time, you still are. It's your character. You're gonna be put there. Like if you look at Nas and Belly, and you say Nas was bad. Hype Williams said cut and felt those takes were good. All these takes are good. The only problem is that there's no difference in character. That's the
And
problem with the acting.
and the average actor, actress would jump at this type of opportunity because it means they get to act more. So instead of just having to, okay, I got to play this guy. Okay, I can throw myself totally into the opposing character. This is like an actor's dream at the end of the day. Should be knocking it out of the park. Instead, it's the same character in different clothing.
Wasn't it? You got Split, whatever. There's a TV show where the girl plays a 3 million character. You already mentioned Orphan Black.
Orphan Black. Yeah, no, and I said she's
3 million shows that the
I know,
actors do this.
some of the
Yeah,
time,
Dollhouse.
we say
Dollhouse
this
with Eliza Dushku.
we see these things and then we say,
Michael Knight had an evil twin, and it worked. That's when I was a kid. Michael
Man,
Knight.
that's really bad, man. That's really bad. If we're gonna come over and say David Hasselhoff nailed it, and this chick can't get it together.
I'm saying that's. I didn't want to
Oh
go.
my
I wasn't
God.
going there. But that's the most basic thing, and it's not saying. It's saying put some time into it and separate and director and actress. But at the same time, you need to sit around and say, you know what is the difference? So I know this. What this one is this, or this one is that. It's not in the same sense of say like Star Trek where Captain Kirk has to play total softy in one character, and then he gets eyeliner and he plays total, rapist in the other character, where it's a split of his personality. It's just saying have a couple of things that would be different for the thing that's for this character, so we know. Not that we just see one is an assassin and this, that, and the other, and one is the other thing. That's not a big enough difference. And you can go to Van Damme, you can go to the good actresses. I understand that you're looking at the performances and you say the performances are fine. They are. But then you say, are they two different characters? No. And that's like, make me believe that they're two different characters. And this is the long and short, right? What was it? The basic thing, and this is an assessment from Roger Moore. He said while he was making some James Bond movie, he'd watch who was it? He'd watch Christopher Reeve walk to the thing in Superman costume, women lose it. Then he walks to the thing in Clark Kent outfit. He can't even catch a fly. Like the flies won't even come next to him. So it's like that basic thing where without even filming, you got the fact that they're two different people. Something to give me, if the costumes have to be it, different hairstyles have to be it, give me something to say that they're different. That's all I'm asking. Something small.
They're dressed differently.
Huh?
They're dressed differently. What about that?
Isn't the hair the same thing?
But the dress that she has, that outfit that
the dress isn't drastically. Yeah, it's a different outfit that they have.
I'm playing with you, Pete. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think.
All right, so now you've done it. You brought this up back to this portion we already argued about. Episode 4. Cal, bring it home.
Okay.
If you remember where we're at.
Do I still have to be nice?
Yeah, a little. Let's give you. I mean, you don't have to get too much into it.
We want you to be an adult, okay? That's what we want you to be.
What's the best? Okay, well, all right, so this uninvolved murder mystery still continues. They believe that the fallen Jedi must be her master, so of course she must have done it, okay? And then she goes off doing all of the Mary, the Mary Sue stuff, where she's better than everybody. So she's catching all these people in traps, even though she should have never caught any of them. And again, and I think Mars said it earlier, there's something going on with the Jedi. Everybody, they keep doing those shots where people say stuff and they kind of look away when they say it. They say it kind of squirmishly at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but...
Come on, they introduced who the master is. The master shows up when they go to get the Wookiee.
But I don't think
the Jedi Wookiee. What do you think about the Jedi Wookiee before we get to the master? What do you think of that?
I don't care about the Jedi Wookiee. I just don't care. I don't care about the Jedi Wookiee. Here's the reason why I don't care about the Jedi Wookiee. Okay, what is his name? Master Kin Naka? Because they couldn't come up with another name that wouldn't sound like Chewbacca. Yeah, so
Well, I think there'll be something similar. Kelnaka, so there's nothing wrong
part
with
of the
it.
reason I don't care, part of the reason I don't care is because I don't trust them to make a character, develop that character. I'll like that character without them killing that character. That's where I'm at the end of the day. So it's like, okay, there might be something here, but the idea of I mean, I've read Star Wars comics. I've dabbled in some of the books. So the idea of a Jedi, a Wookiee that's a Jedi is not a big deal for me. Okay, it was
Right.
like the same thing when everybody went ape scat over Black Chrysanthemum when he came on he was like one of the best things on the book of Boba Fett, and everybody was going ape scat for him. I'm like, I saw this guy already in the comic. He's just another Wookiee. He's just got black. He's got black fur at the end of the day. So that's just it's not enough for me. And then I don't trust him to do anything well with this character. The funniest thing I heard about this show, I don't know if it was this episode or an early episode. A friend of mine's watching it. His sister comes into the room. She thinks he's watching Black Panther.
I'm gonna curse right now. Get out of here with that.
She looks at the
Get
outfits,
out of
all the
here with
color and
that.
stuff like that. You're
Get
like,
out
is
of
this
here
Black
with
Panther?
that.
No, this is probably like episode. I think it might have been episode 3 when they were on like the whole thing with the coven, that sort of stuff. But then I look, and I'm like, okay. And then I look at the Jedi outfits, which aren't quite the same color and style as the Jedi outfits that we know of. But they can always say, hey, this was 200 years before. They decided to make color alterations later on, that sort of thing. But it still leads to the same thing that Mars put us into before. They want to overwrite the existing Star Wars universe with this stuff that they're creating. The only problem is there is no audience for it.
Okay.
I'm saying this type of stuff with the whole comic book industry for a while, and I think Didio had said, these deals are done by committee, market research, and they're looking down the road and saying, hey, we need a younger demographic. And what does the younger demographic want? And I think this is what we keep getting into. Those of us who enjoy.
What is the number? What is the young demographic one? What is
What do they want?
Well, according to the numbers, they're definitely more accepting of LGBTQ personalities. They think they should be more involved. They say that they're supposed to be more, more multicultural elements in society, in TV. Much more of that coming along. So it's a different aspect as to what we grew
as
up
in hiring or subject matter?
So in
Yeah,
terms
that
of
doesn't.
hiring, subject matter, in terms of who the subjects are, like they said before, you had a lot of the subjects were focused on men, right? So now, if you notice, even look at this. This is basically a female-led, female main actors
And it
show,
sucks.
and so again, the versus where you had the older ones where they're mostly male-driven, right? The main character was a male, and all the side characters were female, right? So that's why they're saying that they're coming in about doing this, but. I just keep thinking Disney, they look at the market research and they keep getting it wrong again and again. And if they want a younger audience, they're never going to get a good audience if they can't bring in the people who were there before. I mean, look, Spider-Man,
No, don't divert from what you were saying because you're going to Spider-Man. Stay where you are for a second because you're saying that this audience is saying that they want more diversity in terms, I guess, of terms of women. People, more people who aren't white, more LGBTQ, but they haven't said anything about what they want in terms of a story. Okay,
yes,
you want a female lead. If you just want to prove that a woman can be in a story and be the lead, and the story can suck, that's fine. You're proving that on a regular basis. Okay, but the idea was that, or at least I thought the idea was to say no, a woman can be the lead in the story and carry this story successfully, have a successful franchise, doesn't always have to be a guy. That's not what's happening here. Okay, that's not what's happening. And if they're like, I know the argument they want to be is like, well, women have to be excellent, male to be mediocre. No, you can't. If Boba Fett's not coming back, Boba Fett's not coming back at the end of the day. So if it's good, people will return to it. They're also not allowing for the fact that men and women tend to tag differently to the type. Women consume more media overall, so that's one. But men and women do not tend to watch the same things in terms of media. And so if you're pumping this, which to be quite honest this is a predominantly male-driven show, male-driven viewership when it comes to Star Wars. And now you're saying, okay, so we're going to attack hard, this way to try to get more female viewership. Okay, that's fine. but that doesn't mean you're going to get them. This is not necessarily something where you are going to get a high amount of female viewership. If the viewership is, regardless of what you do, is going to be predominantly male, and I think even now, with people not liking it, it still is. You got to go back and say, well, look, why are we trying so hard to sell this to a demographic that doesn't really want this at the end of the day, now or in the future? Maybe there's other stuff we could actually do within the Star Wars universe, totally different, okay? Or we could keep selling the same stuff that this demographic has loved and keep spending money on, as opposed to ruining this one for the viewership that enjoys it the way that it is. So I totally get what you're saying about, well, they want to see these types of, and I'm going to say they're cosmetic, okay? Because I think the important thing is the story, not whether it's a male or female, whether the person's black or white or straight or gay. The important thing is the story. What is this particular character going through? Are those story elements strong enough to keep the viewership here that they want to stay to the end, and then they want to see more based on what they've seen right here? So they are not saying what they want to see in terms of what they want to see in terms of story, just the cosmetic stuff. And anytime I hear that in terms of a response from people who are supposed viewers, that is a red flag that they are not going to watch this show. Okay, they'll be happy to know that the show has a female lead, and they'll never watch it.
Well, let's go to what Mars was saying about the people, what people want, and ultimately you have to remember that what the producers need to single out is, if the viewership says we want a Princess Leia show, then you produce a Princess Leia show. You have a write-in, all that stuff. That's the stuff people listen to. That's the stuff you have. That sort of, you have something saying, hey, we want this sort of subject matter in our story. Then they're like, wait a second, like, we make the stories here. You're the viewers. We don't take in solicitations. They don't take solicitations in on what the plot is, who the characters are. But then they say, yeah, there's someone reading the mail, but we'll send you out to say, is our story, we'll show you an episode or a movie and let you watch it and say, does this work for you and that work for you? But we're not coming in here soliciting any ideas for where our plot and our characters should go. That's a different thing. You introduce Boba Fett and they're like, everyone's dazzled over Boba Fett, and Lucas is like, I'm not interested in Boba Fett at all. I'm killing him. He just to take him out, and we're going to take him out in the second one. It's like comic book guys making stories. People are interested. Then we get him into Django into the other series because there's an interest in it. That's how you get characters in it. You can't just say, hey, we want this subject matter in here, and then say, like, well, what do you want me to do with that stuff? Like, that's not, I don't take solicitation from the fans. And the same thing would say, like, to bring in Stan Lee, he struggled with listening to fans and saying, oh, they're commenting on this. Let's not do this. We need to explain that. And slowly moved away from it. So it's like, hey, they're writing and saying, hey, can you cure Ben Grimm? And they do an episode or issue where they would cure Ben Grimm for an issue, and he'd be stuck as a thing for the rest of the time, and saying, I'm not supposed to take it in and say, I'm going to cure him. They're going to say, oh, these readers struggle that Ben Grimm is going through this, and they want him to feel better, but at the same time, Stan is like, look, I'm writing this story. I'm not curing him. And he didn't, and even in the last point he's writing it, he had him cured. He could change back and forth, but he turned into a total monster as a person, and then he had to go back to the thing regularly. So he never gave them what they wanted. So you can't just put out, this is the subject matter. If the audience and the thing is waning and falling apart, that's when you say, well, let's try something. We got to try something with this. How are we going to get these people back? But you don't have a dying franchise. You have the thing where you're looking at it and you're saying, we have all these characters. We just have to put out good stories. Wait a second. We got to put the subject matter in here or else they're not going to watch it. Who knows? So I don't like playing that sort of game. And you can play that game when you're like, stuff is bottomed out and nothing is selling. And then you say, well, we got to do something here. And then you start seeing the wacky stuff or going back to the basics. It's either one of the two.
I see what you're saying, but we've seen this again, and Marvel has done it where they started changing many of the characters, making them female, making them black, Latino, where they're like, hey, we got to skew this a little differently to make sure that we can make money on these things, right? The older audience is not, like they said, Star Wars audience is what, 70% male, right? So they're trying to change it to an older. So they're trying to change the demographic and do it. Do we agree with the way they're going about it? No. And I think that especially the way the trailers were, they were very misleading, right? So people ended up watching something, and what do you expect when you give people something and then they're disappointed in it? They're going to take their anger out. If they would say, "Hey, this is about a story about it's a mystery about a bunch of coven witches," then people probably would have had a whole different idea about it. But people were saying, "Hey, they have Carrie-Anne Moss, they have Soul, the guy who plays Soul in there. This may be a whole new thing that we can look into. It's a whole new franchises now. The Jedi are all over the place. They're the sheriffs. That's how they were selling it. They're the sheriffs of the world, and then now all of a sudden, it's coming out looking totally different. And actually, the Jedi actually look bad because it seems as though they're hiding something. The very fact that the first one died, and then the second one ends up dying, and now Kelnaka is dead. Like, what the hell is going on, right? I mean, these are supposed to all be Jedi Knights, Jedi Masters, and yet they're all dying. So I think that and I think Cal brought it up, is like they're underhandedly trying to like knock down our franchise, But why are they doing it?
One of those d-bag Jedi is a bad guy, and regretfully now you're reminding me that the guy Master Soul, you're saying that there's some big following for him from the Squid Games. That d-bag,
yeah,
that d-bag.
Sorry, don't tell who you calling d-bag, bro. You better
The
watch
actor, the party played in the Squid Games. It's like it was, like what's
we know, but
then why am I? You saying?
But we're talking the actor himself. He's not playing that role in the.
Oh, he can obviously. Who else is going to be? Carrie-Anne Moss is obviously like the cannon fodder here. She's the one who's got wrongfully killed, and maybe one of the other ones. But it's either it's either Master Soul is doing the most. Hey,
he's carrying it, and I think that's why people are a little upset. They thought, hey, Carrie-Anne Moss, who finally gets her chance, and she's cut. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, they don't. The thing is, people they say Scream, and they say what's that thing? What's the name? Psycho. Now, Psycho, Janet Leigh is in like half the movie. When she's killed, it's like well deep in the movie. It's not like she's the whole catalyst of everything, and then we're thrown off at that point. But we're like close to halfway in the movie, and it's a surprise because you don't. In Scream, if you haven't seen Psycho or hadn't seen that many movies, most people got looking at the trailer, oh, Drew Barrymore's in Scream. But then once she's in the beginning and she's on the call, it's like, oh, they're doing Psycho. Like they're doing a shock thing here, which worked for the time, but it's like anyone who knew film kind of knew, oh, this is what they're doing, which is it's fun. It didn't take away from it, but I knew what was going to happen at this point now because I seen the trailer. I thought she was going to be a part of it, but then she's in the beginning of it. Is she going to survive this and then tell everyone? No, you're going to have to build the whole story all over again because this is the shock entrance. And then
just to add on that, if you hadn't seen Psycho, like myself, you still didn't lose anything for that scene because you look at it and you realize, oh wow, they're really going for it. Anybody, doesn't matter if you're a headliner or not, can die in this particular film. So it worked either way, whether you saw how the setup was, or if you come into it real and like, okay, they're playing for keeps when it comes to the character, regardless of who the actor or actress is.
But you don't want a situation like Boba Fett where you're like, wow, coolest thing in, not to say he was actually the coolest thing, but pretty much you came out of it talking about Boba Fett as a kid. And then you go to Return of the Jedi and he gets kicked. And not that he got kicked, I just want to say that. He got kicked and thrown into like this giant monster in the ground. So it's just like what just happened here? We killed him for no good reason.
They kicked him in the ass and then he fell into an orifice.
Yeah, I knew we were gonna go there. But we haven't gotten to Mars, the Jedi monster, the Sith, whatever it is, we
don't know who.
The Force monster, the Force is.
No, you don't even need to get to all of that. Probably what they're going to end up doing with this is, I mean, if they go by what they're going, this will be the seeds of them undercutting the entire Jedi Order, because then the Jedi Order that we know of will be a corrupt order. The whole Marxist view that they love to take with this stuff. There's the oppressor, and the oppressed. And if you're part of the establishment, the Jedi establishment, then you must be the oppressor. Who's the oppressed? It's going to be one of the, to be some character, a Force user, not part of it. They did this. Oh, look, they got dirty laundry. They got secrets to hide. But then we'll be able to make a new Jedi Order in the future. And this Jedi Order will be more diverse. It'll be a safe place for people.
It can't.
The Force monster. We got to talk about the Force monster in episode 4. What do you guys think about the Force monster?
I don't care.
Nothing. There was nothing big about that.
She did the bit that May did, the whole sand kick up bit, but in even bigger effect. She made a twister, totally knocked off all the Jedi and all that stuff. And it's one of the weakest designs of a Sith type thing out there. I'm sorry to say, come on, stop going for your saw. You're half a monster, half a Darth. Was it? I don't know what the Darth in the Force Awakens was, but it's like at least that had a cool helmet, which they didn't use, and then they brought it back later. And then now we got this wacky looking thing that's in here, but obviously it can kick everybody's ass on the planet. It's like, all right, so nobody wants to talk about last thoughts. Mars.
Nobody wants to talk about it because if we big up the Force monster, we're just going to get into an episode where Ocean will throw a knife at it and it'll die.
Mars.
There's no trust. There's no trust.
Okay, now Mars, any last thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, I have to agree with you guys when you guys are saying, there's no difference between the two characters. The very fact that May is now changing and saying, hey, I should go with the Jedi, and then Kelnaka, she goes to where Kelnaka is, and Kelnaka's already dead, right? Why is May making this change all of a sudden after so many years? 10 years?
She saw her sister.
I know she saw her sister, but is that enough of a change? I mean, you've been...
No, it isn't. It definitely isn't.
...with this stuff, I mean, I could understand her having misgivings, but she totally just said, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to follow my master. She doesn't even know who her master is. We don't, there's so much there. It could, for all we know, it could be Soul, in the mask. But then again, he's not. I don't know who's there. And I just find it needs more clarification, at the end of the day. Right now, the series is not running high, but it's not running at a 14% for me at all. I think there are interesting elements, but it could do so much better. And I just don't understand, to me, why Disney keeps throwing good money after bad. They had a whole reaction to characters in Obi-Wan. We know Obi-Wan was a weak character, and that whole show was weak overall. What I'm trying to say?
Obi-Wan isn't weak. The series was weak.
You pick your choice. I'm not going to go into that one, but overall,
I totally agree with that. Obi-Wan, definitely a weak character. The only character weaker than him on the show was Darth Vader, as he kept smacking him around and telling him to sit down.
Always start with something, right? Always.
You started that.
Hey, you started it. You set yourself up for that one.
All right. So
remember what he told him? Remember when he showed him how to use the Force? Said, "Sit down, young man. Let me show you how it's done."
Let's clarify. The show was not as strong as it could be. It had a lot of negative pushback on it, and I'm just thinking, Disney keeps doing this stuff where it keeps getting all this negative feedback, and you figure out, you know what, we're going to self-correct, and let's try and give the audience really what they want.
No, they're not going to self-correct because they believe they are laying the foundation. They believe they're laying the foundation for a future audience that's going to take place. I don't know when, according to them, but these guys are going to say, these are the shows that made me love Star Wars. These are the people. I mean, that's what they're doing. Like, guys like us who went and, we saw the movies and we saw the prequels and we read the books. It's like, okay, I love this series. I want to see more of it. They believe that these series right here, overwriting Star Wars are going to bring in that audience. And who knows? Maybe they're right. I don't see it now because the viewership isn't at 14%. Okay, it's not only they're only getting 14% people watching it. That's the viewer reaction. That's the viewer reaction. And even if the show's being review bombed, okay, even if it's being review bombed to the point that, like, all right, we could double that or even triple it, it's still not good. And so who they're creating this for, that viewership isn't there. either the viewership is not there yet or it doesn't exist, but they keep doing it. To your point, why they keep doing this, I don't understand. Okay, but supposedly there are people out there, and they're going to keep doing it until these people, I guess, come in. I don't understand it.
Well,
I'm with you. I don't understand.
I don't.
think it's like the Disney princesses thing, like the Moana stuff, where in the movie theater it just bombed.
It did.
When it got to Disney Plus, it was a huge hit. Now they're going to make a movie out of it. Or what's another one? The one with the what's the name of the one? This Mexican one where the guy was playing. Went to go find out about his grandfather and did bad in the movie theaters, but then they put it on the TV and it just did fantastic.
You're not talking about Up.
No, not Up. It was a Mexican kid with a guitar, and he went to go look for his grandfather.
Are you sure about Moana? That bombed in the theaters, or you're talking about a different one?
It didn't do as well, you know. It didn't do. It probably didn't. You know what? The proper word should be expectations, because people put these expectations on movies and films and how they're supposed to do, and when they don't reach those expectations, then there are people like, oh, the whole franchise is up, you know.
It made 4 times its budget. I'm like, what money did they expect it to make?
I don't know. Probably
the budget was 150 million. It made over 600 million, like 680 million. What were they expecting it to do? I mean, if they expected this thing to be $1 billion, I don't know where that came from, but I believe that was a very successful movie for them. You know, even at 200 million, you tripled your budget. You know, that's great. Money back. You know, money back 3 times over. I'm not too sure about that one.
I probably off with the Moana, but I'm just saying there were a couple of movies that people were like, it's not that good, but then they turned out very well on Disney Plus, and that's what I'm trying to say. That probably that's what Disney's saying. Hey, probably like you just said, we have to stick it out, and it will work. You know.
Well, going back to this sort of thing that you're kind of trying to say, Mars, is like looking at them and having struggles of trying to do TV. And they started with The Mandalorian. So the problem they're having is that doing like a streaming service or that sort of thing under one umbrella, which is Star Wars, and then you have these hits or misses trying to do a bunch of series with a plethora of characters, but then at the same time it being good is the harder thing to do. The Book of Boba Fett being one where you just bail on Boba Fett and go to the Mandalorian in the last couple episodes. Then you have some that Ahsoka that kind of work, and then you have Andor, and then you have some things. So it's kind of tough in this situation, but you can't look at them like, hey, now they're trying to do stuff and they're doing like it's enough time in what they accomplished. They had this ambitious idea of doing this whole big thing in Star Wars, which everyone wanted, and it seems to be much harder than everyone expected. And I'm pretty sure harder than you expected, because you just have the books and the material that you feel that they could be mining to make stories, but they want something of their own, and then they're struggling to make their own Star Wars product. So I don't want to look at them like, hey, the review bombing. Don't look at Rotten Tomatoes. If you're not interested in Rotten Tomatoes, don't look at it. Don't use it as the benchmark of the success of the show or not. Just if you liked it, with Mars, you're still indifferent on it. It's not showing up what it's supposed to be. So I just want to say that is like this is having this umbrella stuff and having these struggles when you started off so strong is really a bad sign. And you have subject matter, you have books to go through that you can, make into different things. You could chop up different stories and put different leads that you want to put into these stories that you could, you could do that instead of saying we need to make it from whole cloth. Wow. Oh, well, it's not working. People upset. Oh, well, it's just people photo bombing. Review bombing us. It's terrible. So you gotta give Star Wars and Disney kind of some of the blame for not putting out the best sort of product and saying, well, we need to retool or something like that. But
question, they have this show supposedly was greenlit back in 2020. Probably was a little too far along for them to stop it. I'm not sure, but I'm like, bro, they spent
4 years. It was greenlit 4 years ago, and it was too far along.
At least they probably, I don't know, probably they started printing. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying, they started talking about it. But $180 million is what they spent on it. So clearly the studios are looking at something totally different than what we're looking at. They're making calculations based on what because we keep having
They
this
spent
conversation.
$180 million on this series.
That's
That's
supposedly
movie money. That's movie money.
Well, that's what the Marvel movie shows were doing. They were spending around too. They wanted to spend
Yeah, I
over.
mean, 8 episodes or whatever.
Yeah, so that's what they were spending.
80.
Look, like you said before, the Mandalorian gave us what we wanted, and people were happy. You know what I'm trying to say? The Mandalorian gave us what we wanted. These shows are not giving us what we want, and therefore they're getting slammed, right? I mean, I know, Petey, we've had this discussion where I'm like, give the audience what they want. I know sometimes they don't know what they want, but you got to give it to them. Because if not, the reaction that you're going to get is going to be something like this.
Well, it's also the shows are bad. It's one thing if you're not going to give me what I want, but I can begrudgingly still say, hey, you know, it was a good show. It's not what I wanted, but yeah, it was still entertaining at the end of it. I would have preferred to have seen this. But it's something else if I don't get what I want, I don't get what I expect, and it's bad.
Well, it's also part of the development part of a show, right? And not to say this would, if you spend more time developing it, because 4 years is way too long to develop it and it not work out, you know, like not work out for a Star Wars thing. That's a decent amount of time for any kind of development. But working on these things like the same way they would do an HBO show, they would have shows that kind of slowly kind of work together. You have the Oz, the Sopranos, The Wire, and then you say we got 4 or 5 different shows, and then we're gonna put a lot of sports and boxing in between those. But it's like those are all from different people pooling all their strengths to pull together. And you have a good mind, and I guess with the Dave Filoni, who's done some good product, and got John Favreau, and you got these people who can do that stuff, and then you have all this material that you could go back to, but then it's like, nah, I got another idea, and then it's like, well, we gotta try things. But yeah, all right. So I said to Mars, any last words? Cal, any last words?
Trash.
Mars, again, since we went over again, do you have any other last words?
I have hope.
Okay, for Star Wars, since the first one was renamed The New Hope, you having hope, that's a good way to end it. Spinner rack.
Out.
Out.